My name's Audrey Smith. I'm a patrol deputy. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for over 3 years. I've been on patrol for over 2 now. Growing up, most of the law enforcement that I saw or interacted with, it was, white male cops. A big thing for me was that I wanted to have more accurate representations of the society, and I never really saw any cops that looked like me. And so I thought, it was a big motivation for me to get into it and to, be a cop that looks like, other little black girls out there. For the most part in Brunswick County, people have been very supportive of law enforcement. I think that our community ties are great here in this county. I have family and friends that aren't really the biggest fans of law enforcement, so it's definitely a unique situation to be in because I feel and understand everything from all sides. Being black, I understand the anger and the rage that everyone's feeling, but then also on the other side, I am in law enforcement, so I am feeling the anger and the rage on our side, the public hate right now. It's a really tough situation to be in. It's tough to have other cops in other states and their actions directly portrayed on to me or somebody else in this sheriff's office. I work with so many great men and women that it really hurts my heart that now we have to bear the brunt of what he did, and it's not fair. Anytime that a cop does something bad, all of us get affected. All of us have to repair that trust with the community. I mean, it really hurts my heart that someone can wear the badge and take that oath and they can still do that. I can't even imagine, how someone can take that promise to, serve and protect, and they have that in their hearts to do it. And I can't even imagine it. I really can't. The great people that work here, I've never personally experienced anybody treating anybody of a certain race any different way. I think the race relations here in Brunswick County are awesome. I think the white officers, I've seen every single one of them treat black people with respect and vice versa. There is a certain sense of a brotherhood and sisterhood. You go through the most crazy experiences that people can't even imagine or fathom with these people, and you truly have to trust the people that you work with your life, and you really have to have their back as well. But I also don't like how people kind of perceive the thin blue line as we protect them at all costs. If somebody's doing something wrong, they're doing something wrong. I did want to get into law enforcement to kind of change that perspective that all cops are racist or they're out here to get black people and everything, and I really wanted to be that change. I think that's super important. If you think that something is excluding somebody, I think it's important to go out there and make it different and make it diverse. And I did the most that I possibly could to make a change. You meet lifelong friends here, no matter what, no matter where I go, I love every single one of the people that I work with. It's never failed. Anytime that I've had a super rough day and it's just, it got to me, it was a really long day, there's always been at least one person that came up to me and sincerely said, thank you, I appreciate what you do, and that's really honestly, truly what keeps me going sometimes. It is a thankless job. We don't get into it for the awards or the recognition. It's truly to help people, but sometimes it does wear on you, and sometimes you're like, am I even making a difference? Am I even doing anything out here? It always comes at the perfect time that somebody will come up to me and shake my hand, or just say thank you, I appreciate it, I see you, I have your back, and I respect you, and it means the world to me. It really does. God led me to work here for certain reasons, and this is really one of the greatest areas that I could ever imagine working, and I'm truly thankful and grateful for that. I'm all for protests. I'm all for peaceful protests. I think it's super important to use your voice and to use, your God-given rights. Before we got called in, I was seeing all the things on social media and the news, in Minneapolis and all the other cities that were just going crazy. I had no idea what we were going into. I was definitely worried beforehand because also, my boyfriend, he works here at the sheriff's office as well, and he was called out there as well. I was glad and I was relieved that we were able to go together because, even though I have everybody's back out there just as much as, the next person, but it was definitely a special connection that, we were going out there together, and it wasn't me sitting at home worrying about him going out there and vice versa for him. We got to experience that. It was stressful just because you kind of were walking into the unknown, didn't know how bad it was going to be, didn't know how many people were out there, didn't know how violent it was going to get. I never wanted to get violent. I don't think any of us wanted it to. I don't think we wanted to ever have to be put in that situation to where we had to resort to a physical force on anybody. It was definitely a new experience for me. I've experienced people not being so nice to the police, but it was on a very personal level. It was on, just one-on-one or, a couple people being there, but it was completely different having every single person that you ran into in the street absolutely hating your guts. It was tough to hear some of the things that people were calling us, but at the end of the day, you just gotta let it roll off your back and just keep pushing forward and keep doing what you have to do. I was extremely proud of every single one of us that were out there. I think we held it together great. I think we were all extremely professional. We didn't let anything get to us. We didn't break the line. We did what we needed to do, and I think we did a great job out there. Venting is a really big thing. I'm very grateful that Willie's also in law enforcement. He understands it on a level that not a lot of other people do. It really does take someone that's in it and that's going through the same thing to really truly understand it. I mean, there are plenty of people that can sympathize with us, but unless you're personally going through it and doing the same thing, it just won't get it on the same level. I think that's one of the huge ways that me and him are able to deal with everything. We have that support system. He's my best friend, and I'm just very grateful that I have him to be able to talk to about it. The great people that I work with, that I get to call my brothers and sisters, if we're on a call together and something's bothering us, or we are affected by something on a call, we're able to talk about it, but you always have those people to talk to as well. For the most part, you really just have to not take everything so personally, but at the same time, you also have to leave your heart open because, at the end of the day, you still have to have, that sense of passion to do this job well. It saddens me that a lot of members of the Black community say that their only interactions with law enforcement is negative. I hate that the only time that they see us is when something bad is going on, and I think that I think both sides are guilty. I'm not saying all officers do it, but I mean, some of them might feel a little bit uncomfortable going up to people and just, having that conversation. If you see them out in the yard, you just speak, just say, hey, how are you doing? Just introduce yourself, but just say, hey, and get to know the people on both sides. I think that we need to see, everybody as a human being. Well, it's a really tough situation because, when people are approached by us, they don't know what our intentions are. They don't know who the cop is that is approaching them, and they don't know, how they are as a person. So there's a level of uncertainty on both levels because we don't know what their intentions are. We're hoping that they don't have ill intentions towards us, but it's the same thing for a member of the Black community. Is they don't know who the cop is that's approaching them, and I think it takes a certain level of trust on both ends. There's just so many good interactions that just go undocumented and not talked about. I definitely think that people look at me differently when I'm outside of uniform because, I I do look like a different person. You know, I have tattoos. I wear my hair down. Not necessarily, not necessarily in this county, but outside of the county. I've been pulled over before for absolutely no reason. The driving while black, it happens. Especially me and Willie together. You know, it's happened. I'm not going to say that it happens all the time, and I don't want to say that all cops are like that, because they definitely are not. However, there are instances of it, and you know, it sucks because you really truly don't know somebody's heart and their intentions until something bad happens. And I really hope that moving forward, it doesn't take what happened to George Floyd for somebody to recognize, like, hey, something's going on, this person has something going on that maybe they shouldn't be in law enforcement. I don't think that this department has had any issues with it, but I think overall, departments across the country, I think that they've given officers a few too many chances with little instances. I think that if there's any complaints of, you know, discrimination or excessive force or anything, I think that it definitely needs to be dealt with more severely than it has. And I don't want there to be another George Floyd situation to happen for somebody to really realize, okay, this person should not be in law enforcement. You know, I do understand we're human and we make mistakes. However, some of those things are not mistakes. Those are just choices that are within that person. And it's going to continue to happen, and typically it's going to escalate until it does get to something where somebody unfortunately is losing their life or getting really hurt, you know, for no reason. I hate that it took, you know, a man losing his life for all of these issues to kind of come to light, and to be on such a huge spotlight for not only the country but the entire world. But I think these issues have been here for a really long time, and a lot of it, if not all of it, is, you know, an extremely uncomfortable topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about or face, but I think they are extremely important to talk about. And I think what happened in Minneapolis is giving us this great opportunity to be able to face these problems and to talk about it. I completely understand the anger and the rage, and I felt it when I read about it and I saw the video as well, and I get it. But I think moving forward that this is a great opportunity to start having those conversations, and I think it's really necessary that we do. I think members of society as a whole, I think they want law enforcement to kind of view each person individually instead of generalizing them. I feel like a lot of people feel like we generalize people that we deal with, and they're just all the same. And you know, me personally, from my experience, I can't speak for all law enforcement, but that's the furthest thing for me. But on the same hand, I think, you know, this has got to be, you know, a give and take relationship. And I think that a lot of people need to do that as well for us. I think a lot of people just see the uniform and that's it. They shut it down after that. They don't try to look any deeper. One of the great things of working in this county, it's still a relatively small county. You do get to know people. A lot of people remember you. I mean, you typically see the same people when you're working the same area, and you do get to forge those relationships. So I'm very grateful for that. In this county. However, in other cities like Charlotte or Raleigh or Wilmington even, it is hard to, you know, form such tight and strong relationships, you know, because you're dealing with so many people every day, so many different people. But I think it's really important for people to view us as human as well. And I think the police are an absolute necessity. I think the way that things have been done, I think they can definitely be done better. And I definitely think that this is showing us that there's a lot of room for improvement. But, you know, I am hopeful for the future, and I do hope that all of us kind of take this horrible, tragic situation and turn it for the better. There's a lot of misinformation. It's a lot of people just don't know. I think a lot of people think that our job is just writing tickets, pulling people over, and harassing people, trying to mess people's day up. And there's just so much that goes into our day every single day that people just don't see. We work 13 hours a day, you know, if you're lucky. That's if you get off on time. If you get stuck with something towards the end of shift, I mean, you're looking at 14 to even 18 hours a day, and then you gotta go home and do it all again the next day, and that's fine, you know, that's what we signed up for. I think people would benefit from kind of getting an inside look on what we actually do. There's so much different stuff that goes on daily. You know, I remember one day, the first call of my day, a woman's husband was passed out in the bathroom, started giving him CPR. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. You know, they were married for 65 years, and it was right before Thanksgiving, and you know, I'm with this woman in the hardest, most saddest day of her life, and I'm just this complete stranger that's in her house, and she depended on me at that point to do everything that I possibly could to help her in that situation. That's another whole part of my job, is that I'm there to console her and help her, and I'm sharing this extremely, you know, vulnerable, emotional time with her. There's just so much that goes into law enforcement, more than just arresting people and, you know, giving people tickets. Members of the community, especially the Black community, I think if they were given the opportunity to kind of, you know, sit down and talk to us and actually get to know what we truly do. My whole goal is that I just want to get home at the end of the day. I want to do my job well. I want to make sure that everybody's safe. You know, I want to do what I'm called to do, and then I just want to go home. I want Willie to come home as well. That's the main two things that I want, and that's all I'm asking for. I just hope that, you know, people can see us beyond the uniform and the badge. I am Brunswick County Sheriff's Office. I'm here for you.